I'm here today with Nia Thomas. Nia, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, firstly, I absolutely love swimming, but for the last few years, I've been working in the charitable sector, and I think the sector, the importance and the weight of services that are being delivered by the charitable sector is growing and growing.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? And I think there's so much need and demand for that.
Definitely, and I think over the last 10 years I've seen that local authorities have been shifting that weight of responsibility from them delivering services to the charitable sector.
Yeah.
I remember the shift in the local authority that I was working in, that we started commissioning charities in a way that we hadn't before, and partnering with people, and I think that's continuing.
Yes.
And only growing.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think there's just so much change, isn't there, in the economy, and I think
Certainly.
it's a concern because charities, I think, are finding it harder and harder to get funding.
Yes, definitely. And today, the government is going to be announcing the local government reorganisation.
Yes.
So I was talking to a friend earlier, who was constantly on their phone refreshing Google to see if there was more announcements that had come out.
Yeah.
Because for the last few years, with integrated care boards and with local authorities changing, everything's been very much a pause.
Yes.
For charities. You know, there's been a little bit of commissioning, but not in the way that we've seen 5 years previously.
No, people just don't know where the next budget's coming from.
That's right.
They?
Yes.
So, Nia, what type of charities do you work with, and where are you finding they're getting their funding from?
My background is in early years and family support, but throughout the last 25, 26 years I've been supporting people where there are vulnerabilities. So my last role was an interim chief exec for a homelessness charity, and really for me that is a continuum of the little ones that I was working with previously. They are the older children and the older adults that are now finding themselves in really vulnerable situations.
It's something actually I was really surprised when the training that I've done through the work I do with One Love is how much of an impact early years has on those outcomes in later life.
Oh my goodness, if I could have paid you, you couldn't have said something better. Nikki and I from Law and Love were talking about that yesterday, that I'm constantly having the conversation about, I wonder what happened to this individual by the time they were 5.
Yeah.
So I'm also a magistrate, and I see people coming into the criminal justice system, and I talk to my magistrate colleagues and I ask that same question, I wonder what happened by the time they were 5. And it opens up that conversation to brain development, trauma in early years, and I'm still surprised at how many people don't know about the impact.
No, I mean, I first started volunteering 4 years ago now, I think, and I can remember actually being quite scared of the guests initially, because they're the sort of people that you expect trouble from, or criminal behaviour, and you're concerned and worried about it. But actually, they're really lovely people once you get to know them, and they've all got a story. And once you understand that it's probably things in early life that have led them to that addiction, that's when you realise, this is a whole different situation, and they deserve to be dealt with compassion and no judgment.
Yes, absolutely. And I think there is still this sense that when you are talking to somebody who's an adult, you can rationalise and you can talk about the situations that they're in, and they can make those choices to change. But actually, if you don't have the understanding that actually this is brain development, this is so far back in somebody's history, that the change would be so fundamental that it isn't just a conversation with a support worker.
No,
it's years and years of support.
And it's very hard to break that cycle. I mean, there is hope, but it's very difficult, isn't it, to break that cycle.
But we do know about neuroplasticity. We know that brains can change, but people need that ongoing support. And I think what else I've noticed is that local authorities, and the amount of money that local authorities have, they are looking for quicker turnarounds in change. So a 6-week support package with somebody. And we know 6 weeks isn't going to make that massive change.
Can't change
6 years maybe. But that speed of change, it's not going to be, it's not going to be happening at the time that governments want them to change, and the time that a politician is in post.
No. If businesses are helping and volunteering charities, I certainly found it's benefited Wild. It's something that I can talk about. We're a B1G1 member as well, so we support a number of charities across the world, and every time we file a VAT return or a tax return, we're making donations to support charities. I know, speaking to other businesses though, they find it really hard to communicate, and I think it is a fine line, isn't it, between bragging or getting it out there. Is it just bragging, or is there an advantage to charities if businesses start talking about the work that they're doing?
I think there's a huge advantage for charities because there are so many charities that people don't know about. If you bump into somebody in Tesco and you say the name of the charity that you support, it's highly likely that they've not heard about it. So I think you need to flip that narrative, that rather than talk about, well, we don't want to brag about we support charity X, Y, and Z, but actually just think about the reach that you can support that charity with by publicising what they do, the impact that they have. That really does benefit that charity, and I think it's really important. I think if you're a business, if you go back to the values of your business and think about what organisations you're supporting, why you're supporting them, then that should give you that foundation to explain why it's not bragging. It's about saying this is meaningful to us, this has an impact for our community, and we want to shout about it. By doing so, we benefit that charity, we benefit that cohort of people that we're trying to support, whether it's health or whether it's homelessness, whatever it might be, shout about it.
And I think most people have a personal reason for the charities that they're supporting, so there's generally a story there and something that you can share.
Yes, definitely. And I think that sharing that story, sometimes it can be hard when you're in a corporate situation, but I think you need to bring that humanity to your organisation, because that's the whole point.
You know, the person, and it's not just a brand, it's a real story and a real person behind it. And I think businesses, they've got much bigger marketing budget than charities.
Most definitely.
It's a real, I know with the charities that I work with, it's really difficult, isn't it, to try to decide, do you spend money on fundraising, bid writing, or, you know, but if you don't spend that money getting your name out there, nobody's going to know who you are or give you the money, are they? Must be a real catch-22.
Yeah, definitely. And social media, I mean, you could spend all of your budget on social media marketing, but, you know, you have to balance it. So, again,
you can piggyback off the back of an existing business and their marketing department.
And if you've got somebody who's interested in benefit in kind to support charities with social media, then please put your people right in front of those charities, because they really do need that support.
So are there other ways that a business can support a charity? Is it from volunteering or donating money? Is there anything else they can do?
Well, I think sharing skills would be really helpful right now, because charities are having to think about social enterprise and commercialisation, and they aren't really skills that a lot of charities have. So I think if you're a business that is in commercial sector, you sell things, you buy things, and you have skills that you're able to share with charities. Find that charity that meets your purpose, connect with them, and offer those skills. So again, going back to that idea of benefit in kind, sharing training, skills, knowledge, that is really important, because charities need to build up those skills. It's not something they have. You have it, share it.
Often people start charities because they're passionate about the cause. They haven't necessarily got the commercial experience, have they, to bring in with it. So
and even charities that have been around 50, 60 years, they are now having to think about raising money in a different way than they would have been, because the money's just not there in that same way. So commercial skills, people are really having to tap into them. So if you have it as a business, please share it with your local charity.
No, that's some great advice. So, and again, as a business, make sure you're sharing that out there as well. So, you know, put together your impact statement. Think about what are you doing for the environment, what are you doing for your community, what governance have you got in place, what are you doing to minimise your carbon footprint, and put those out. And then, you know, there's your ESG policy. You know, and get that volunteering into charities. That could tick your environmental box, social box. And actually, it's more than a box ticking exercise. That's something that you're actually doing and making a real difference in as well.
So, and if you are working on your ESG policies, well, somebody that's an expert in it is your local charity. So maybe ask them to input and help you, and maybe you need to pay them a consultancy fee for the day for doing that.
Great
so that's
idea.
the way that you're sharing those skills both ways.
That's a great idea. So the One Love charity where I volunteer, we've just been announced to Ash Bandos as your patron. Amazing, so exciting.
Yeah, it really is.
And such good news. Does it make a difference for charity having a patron?
I definitely think so. I think we're in the era of celebrity, and I think if a charity can be connected with somebody who has a reputation in the area, can extend extend that reach, then that's absolutely amazing for charity.
Yeah.
So businesses, go through your list of clients, find out who you have in your community and really connect with them on the basis of sharing and connecting and building up that space for your charity so that you can extend that reach.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I think it's that thing, it's telling the story, telling your clients about what you're doing, what benefits there are from this charity that you're engaged with, and then see if you can drag your clients along with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think rather than seeing the commercial sector and the charitable sector as two different and never twain shall meet,
Yeah.
we really have to start blurring those lines on the
Definitely.
so we need to share those skills, and the money has to start flowing from the private sector into the charitable sector.
I think that charities are just finding it harder and harder now, aren't they, to get funding, so we've got to be more creative and find other ways of supporting and helping charities.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
together, we have to do it together.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's a win-win for everybody, isn't it, really? Businesses win because actually your ESG and your sustainability is becoming more and more important to consumers, and charities win because they're getting that support that they need, and society wins because we're getting the support that we so desperately need from charities.
Yes, definitely. It's a whole cycle, isn't it?
It is.
We want to be a part of it.
Yeah. Nia, if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to get in touch?
Definitely through my website, which is ksko.co.uk, which is knowing self, knowing others. But I'm always on LinkedIn, so you can find me, Dr. Nia D. Thomas.
Perfect, lovely. So it's a gorgeous 25 degrees in the water. We're off for a swim. Speak to you soon.